Parents, staff, and students, we want to take this opportunity just to go through and review the COVID-19 reentry plan for Lawrenceburg Community Schools. I do want to take this time to thank Dr. Stephen Elison, Medical Director of the Dearborn County Health Department, for his feedback, assistance, and endorsement letter of the plan. I also want to thank the administrators, directors, nurses, board members, teacher leadership teams at each school, and attorneys for helping draft this plan and providing feedback on the plan as well. You may find this plan as well as other valuable information updating the coronavirus information for the corporation at our corporation website, which is www.elberg.k12.in.us. We want to begin with just some general overview of the plan. The plan does have us starting school on August 5th and following the corporation calendar. Please understand there may be revisions due to the calendar accordingly as the year progresses based upon state guidelines, state executive orders, or mandates. As we look in the first paragraph of the general overview of this reentry plan, we see that our goal is for our PK-12 students to provide consideration, recommendations, and best practices to ensure a safe and successful school year. I do want to note that the conditions, the current medical landscape, and growing body of knowledge around COVID-19 does continue to evolve and change. Because this reality does happen, it does present challenges in planning, preparing, and guiding our operations. Therefore, that last sentence in the first paragraph is important. Therefore, please understand and expect there could be document revisions accordingly based upon state, federal, or local guidelines. In the second paragraph, we do want to note that this approach is built upon the guidance and recommendations of health officials. It is aligned to guidelines provided by state and federal leaders and designed to prioritize the health and safety of our staff and students. Going on to the third paragraph, our mission is to provide academic excellence, and as it does continue to say, we are trying to focus on the whole child, not just the academics, but their social emotional learning as well. And as we kind of finalize the general overview, the priority for preventing the spread of the disease in the school setting, we do continue to stress and insist that staff and students who are sick or exhibiting symptoms must stay home. So that is a priority that we have. Additionally, staff and students should remain home if someone in their household has symptoms or is being tested for COVID-19. As we move to the next page, you will notice that we have a table of contents and we have a number of active links. So if you would like to go to a specific section within our document, those are all hyperlinks that you can click on and go directly to that section. At the bottom, you will notice that there are 4 appendices, which has each specific building's entry plan too. Those building plans are directly aligned to the corporation plan in the same order. The following page talks about kind of addressing the community spread. So you can see it kind of has some definitions of what substantial, minimal, or low spread is. And then at the bottom, there are some definitions and pictures of some PPE. If we're talking about face covering, if we're talking about hand sanitizers, talking about social distancing and cleaning and disinfecting. As we get into the document and definitions, the first part, I do want to mention as we get started, this is a corporation level overview, but does include building specifics too. The building specifics are built off of this corporation plan and vertically aligned to match them. We will also be sending out a question later on this week that if you would like to choose the virtual option, you may do so later on this week. Our different styles of learning. First off, the first option is in-person learning. This is where you would attend school 5 days a week, all day, and in person. This will be a traditional style of learning, similar to pre-COVID-19 with recommended safety measures. Option 2 is our virtual learning. This is where the instruction will be delivered live, recorded, and through various technology platforms. Parents and students should expect 5 to 6 hours of instruction a day. Homework, assignments, extra practice will be added to the instruction. Parents and students should expect between 1 to 2 hours of homework each day. So this is going to be kind of a normal day, but it would be virtual at home. Please understand that we will send out a survey later on this week if you want to choose this option. We will give you the first week and a half of school to make sure that you've chose the right one for your children. So therefore, you could change between August 5th and August 14th. But once August 14th hits, then the decision will be final. And the enrollment will be based on a semester-long basis, unless there are extenuating circumstances. Now, I want to note, as I did at the board meeting last night, that this virtual option is different than e-learning that you'll see in option 4. This virtual option is a more rigorous. It is going to be more work for the students. It is going to take more commitment from the students and parents because that will be happening at home. There will be different various methods of delivery. We are still working on those at each grade level, whether it would be live, recorded, or through various online platforms. Option 3 is a hybrid learning option. This is where you would choose virtual learning, but we would allow you, as pre-approved by administrators, to attend some days in person. Then option 4 is e-learning. As I said, e-learning is different than virtual learning. E-learning is where you have to take an entire building or the entire corporation and close it down. This is not chosen by parents and or the school corporation. It's mandated. And if we have to do e-learning, because it is not something that you choose to do, this is something that is mandated, that usually this is less work. So it would usually be 2 to 3 hours of work each day, depending upon the grade level. It would not be as rigorous as the virtual learning, and it would be under the given circumstances. So typically this is implemented on short notice, normally is not intended for extended periods of time. As we move from the styles of learning, we'll move into personal protective equipment, or PPE, and sanitization. Shields and masks. All staff and students will be provided with a shield and mask by the corporation. Staff and students will have the option to use their own shields and masks if they prefer. Visitors, any permitted visitor, will be required to wear a shield or mask while in the building. As we move to the next page, you will see sanitizing wipes. Every classroom and common area in the building will be supplied with sanitizing wipes for use as directed by staff. Hand sanitizer, every classroom and common area and entry door in the building will be supplied with hand sanitizer. Clorox T360 spraying machines are on order. Currently, they're on back order, but we are ordering those so that each building will have one that they can use for deep cleaning of spaces. School bus cleaning. School buses will be cleaned twice daily after morning and afternoon routes. They will be sprayed with an alcohol-based sanitizer between secondary and elementary routes as well. The Common Sense Microbe Solution is an additional solution that we will use on our buses. This is used in the car industry, and it is to put a layer of sanitization or kind of to help fight viruses and bacteria. And over time, they encourage this to be used for up to a year. We will be doing it every 9 weeks in our buses. As we move on to attendance, staff, all COVID-19 related absences will be excused or held harmless for the 2021 school year in relation to evaluations. Staff will be entitled to paid sick leave and expanded family medical leave under the Family First Corona Response Act, which is an active link. So if you click on that link, it will take you to the document that says employee rights, and it goes through and it talks specifically about the paid leave entitlements, eligibility employees, and the 6 qualifying reasons for the leave related to COVID-19. It continues on. For students also, all COVID-19 related absences will be considered excused absences or held harmless for the school year. If a student goes on a mandated exclusion based upon COVID-19 restrictions, they will be offered e-learning. That's the short-term learning. You can also see more specific information at each building link. When students and family members or staff members report illnesses, this is our next section. When a parent calls in for a student, the secretary will ask clarifying questions, and you can read through those clarifying questions in this section below. There is also at the end of this a link called the COVID-19 Screening Decision Tree. This document looks like this, and this kind of helps you as a parent that if you have questions on yes or no, if you have symptoms, do I need to send my student, should I not, you can read through then this screening decision tree to see everything that is included. It is 2 pages long, so you can scroll down through to see all of it. As we go back to our next section, when students, staff members, or visitors become sick, we are using a health monitoring protocol similar to what we have in our athletic protocol. Staff, parents, guardians, and students are expected to self-screen for any symptoms prior to arriving at school each day. We do have a waiver in our online registration that is currently taking place, so I do remind all families to go to our online registration. You can find those links for new or returning students at our corporation website under the news section. As we continue through this section, you will see another hyperlink called Student Guidance for Returning to Schools. This is a good document for parents that if you have questions, they're kind of what-if scenarios. And it goes through different scenarios, symptomatics, and it's 2 pages. So as you scroll down through it, you'll see, can I return after 24 hours? Do I have to stay home for 10 days? Do I have to quarantine for 14 days? And it gives you various scenarios and situations that you can kind of use as guidance. So I encourage families to read through that guidance. I do encourage you to read through all of this section because it does go through and talk about whether you are untested, whether you are tested positive symptomatic, whether you're tested positive asymptomatic, and just some general guidelines as well. And at the end of this section, you will see again those 2 hyperlinks of both the screening decision tree and the student guidance for returning to school. Then we move to the transportation section. Transportation will be available to those who cannot provide their own transportation. We encourage families, if you believe the safest mode of transportation is for you to bring your child to school, we encourage you to drive them to school. Please note that transportation on buses will look similar to pre-COVID-19 except for the following. We will ask siblings to sit together, and we will also strongly recommend and encourage students to wear masks on the bus. Students will have assigned seats on the bus, so the procedures will be, students will be assigned seats on the bus as they get on the bus in the morning. This will be their assigned seat then for the remainder of time. We will begin with seats in the back of the bus and fill the seats towards the front to limit student exposure with our drivers. Bus aides will ride the buses the first few days to assist with the organization and assigned seats. Riding a different route should be only approved in emergency situations. Cleaning of school buses. Again, I remind you, we will clean them twice daily after our morning and afternoon routes. They will be sprayed with an alcohol-based sanitizer between routes as well. As we move to the next section, entering and arrival of school buildings. Everyone is strongly recommended to wear a mask when entering and arriving at schools. Also, there will be no admittance of unessential visitors during this time too. As we continue on, you will see at the end of that section, there is a COVID-19 screening checklist for visitors, and it goes through, and you'll see the document looks like this. And there are some questions talking about hand washing. Have you had any of the symptoms? Kind of have you been around anyone? So you can see that we will use that document for some visitors. But as I said, most visitors will not be permitted this school year into the building to reduce the number of people in and out of the buildings. As we continue on, we'll move to food service, breakfast and lunches. There is more building-specific information at each of the building links. I do note that kindergarten through 8th grade will be eating in classrooms, and the high school, grades 9 through 12, will be spaced out each of their lunches in the cafeteria and auxiliary gym with assigned seating. As we go to the next one, transitioning, we strongly recommend staff and students to wear masks or face coverings while in large group gatherings. We will be conducting cleaning in hallways and high-touch surface areas throughout the school day. We do this already at this time with our custodians, but we will be more diligent. Supporting teaching and learning. There again will be more building-specific information by clicking on the buildings, and the buildings will be providing more information. There is also a hyperlink there that is called the Roadmap for SEL Reentry. SEL stands for Social Emotional Learning. And this is it, as we talk about the whole child that we are focusing on as we re-enter for the school corporation. Then as we continue on to the next one, we have our large group gatherings. Again, we strongly recommend students and staff to wear face coverings and masks, limit unnecessary congregations and congestions in hallways or areas throughout the time period. Now, I know a number of people have asked the question, you keep saying strongly recommend to face coverings and masks. This is due to the current endorsement of our local county medical director, as well as state guidance at this time. We are fortunate that at this time our county is a low to moderate spread area. If that would change, and if the state guidance would change or our county would change, we would also follow their guidance too. When we are talking about our fragile populations, we will identify those case by case and work with individual families as needed. This will lead us kind of to the end of our corporation document. You will see that there's CDC hyperlinks there and guidance, as well as different works cited that we use to formulate our plan. As I mentioned at the table of contents page, you will find hyperlinks to each one of the building plans. So you will see those at the bottom of the table of contents. So if you wanted to specifically see your child's building plan, you can click on those on that page. Please do not hesitate if you have questions to reach out to your buildings or to the corporation. We will also be drafting an FAQ document that we will put on the corporation website as well. Thank you, and we wish everyone the best day.